we first started farming, we were obviously learning as we went. So we fell into, I'm going to call it a conventional trap. So we got a few sheep and then we got more sheep and then the sheep got ill. So we bought kind of things to keep the sheep healthy. And we realised that we needed to buy things in bulk to kind of get a cost-effective system in place. And we felt like we were constantly fighting just to survive, really. And then all of a sudden we kind of stumbled across this idea of regenerative farming. And it was almost like a eureka light bulb moment. Like it didn't have to be this constant fight and struggle, that actually we could completely step back and work with nature and let nature almost not even do the hard work, just work. And then all we had to do was almost like custodian it and look after it.
There's billions of microorganisms in 1 teaspoon of soil. And if you haven't got healthy soil, you haven't got healthy plants, you haven't got healthy animals or healthy humans. So that's where it starts.
So when we talk about working regeneratively, we're looking to work with natural cycles so that we never take more from the land than it can give. So we're not putting synthetic fertilisers or chemicals on the ground. We're working with these natural cycles and getting nutrients through the soil and getting different plants and all the diversity to help produce really good nutritional forage for our animals, who can then produce really good nutritional food.
If regenerative farming ever had a kind of woolly, fluffy, hippie, dog and stick image, well, I don't believe that to be the case, because there's so much more involved. You've got to be aware of the soil, so to get production without artificial fertiliser, the soil has to be in better health. The first and biggest thing is trying to learn to graze differently, to leave more, so that they've a high intensity but short time frame sit on the blocks of grazing, so they then move on, and the idea being the plant is not having to force up a regrowth which then gets grazed, which depletes its roots too quickly, and it's getting my head around that for having been used to doing it a different way. I'm hoping that this will mean I can turn out earlier in the spring with lower winter feed costs, because that's the big thing.
I'll have the cattle within a sort of small electric fence that moves every couple of days, just like 2 or 3 days ahead of the chickens. So the cows get the really long grass and sort of munch it down and squash a lot of it down. And then the chickens come in a few days later and sort of scratch all that out. They sort of scarify the ground and spread all the cowpats out and eat all the bugs and beasties. It's all part of the kind of soil building process.
In the polytunnel, we've just got closed loop systems where anything that's getting taken out is getting composted and then it's put back into the soil.
It's becoming natural to us when we have waste to think, oh, how can we reuse that? And most of the time we can. So we're using windows as cold frames. We're using bricks as little walls for making sure that we've got delineated paths. So we very rarely have to buy anything or ever have to buy anything in. We've got willow growing. Willow's been fabulous for obviously growing things up. Windproofing as well, which is quite essential around here.
We should be using absolutely everything that we produce. Nothing should be wasted. If something's going to waste or you have a waste product, then there's something wrong with the system, I think.
It's an entirely different system of farming for the farm, and in a sense the farm has to get used to us as well. It's a symbiotic relationship. I think the local farmers probably do wonder what we're doing, because it's a bit different. We're not having huge numbers of cows turning up every week and shipping off, and it's an entirely different approach.
We went organic, started conversion about 25 years ago, and we were financially worse off for most of the first 10 years than we would have been had we stayed with conventional. Firstly, we didn't really know what we were doing. And the biggest problem is really your mindset. You have to change the way you're thinking about things rather than always intervening and putting stuff in to change what's happening. It's stepping back, having the patience to step back and try to understand what's going on and to facilitate the good things. And what we saw was the soils recovering from all the hammering of chemicals that we've been putting on for decades. Crop yields recovering to the point where our stock carry on the farm was getting back to where it had been without the chemicals. But our costs had shrunk away because we weren't having to buy fertilisers and pesticides and things. It was this time Wilma and our visitor centre manager and my mother and various women in my life were saying, why take the calves away from the cows? And it was also the visitors to the visitor centre. Of all the things that they were disappointed about in what we were doing, it was about taking the calves away from their mothers at birth, more or less. Then the opportunity arose because the old dairy was unfit for purpose. We went across to the Netherlands, saw some guys doing cow with calf there. We thought, that doesn't look too bad, we could do that. We started building the new dairy and incorporated cow with calf in that. And then 2012, we launched cow with calf. And we gave that up after 5 months because it just wasn't working. And it was a bit like, I suppose, conversion to organic. We abandoned it at that time, looked at it again, went back in 2016, this time committed to giving it our best shot. And now that we've got it going, the calves are growing twice as fast as they were before. The cows are giving 25% more milk. Every year is getting better. Costs are going down at a time when everyone else's costs are rocketing because they're so reliant on buying stuff in.
We have this network called the Regenerative Farming Network South West Scotland, so any farmer can sign up to it, and I add 1 or 2 new people to that every week. The subscribers to the Regen Farm Network receive an email from me once a week called the Regen Roundup that is kind of packed full of links to events and resources and webinars and in real life stuff and online stuff where they can kind of expand their knowledge base around, what are we talking about when we're talking about regenerative farming? What do we mean by fair and sustainable food systems? Every month we organise a farm walk to somebody's farm somewhere in Dumfries and Galloway or into Ayrshire, because it's South West Scotland as well. And that's an opportunity for farmers to come out on farm and meet each other, to look at what each other is doing around kind of nudging towards more sustainable, more regenerative practice. The Scottish Government are currently writing their new agriculture bill, so we've had opportunities to engage with that process and get the voices of regenerative and agri-ecological farmers around those tables. So just by having that network, it's an opportunity to kind of raise more awareness and encourage more farmers to adopt more sustainable practices, by saying, oh look, he's doing it down the road and she's doing it up the road, and maybe I could try that here, and it kind of makes it more normal.
There's a lot of resistance to this way, it'll never pay the bills. There's still a bit in me that you have this wobble now and again, you think, no, I just need to buy fertiliser, just get back to what I was doing. So that's why the soil health group has been quite good, and we have a WhatsApp group, which again is quite good, because if you come across something like dung beetles, we had a talk with Sally Ann Spence about dung beetles. I'll never look at a lump of shit the same again. I'm serious. You just see all the holes in it, and you think, oh, what year was that? Was that the wee copper year, or the gold year, or the brown year, or is that the black year, or that sort of harlequin year? And you're digging among it, hunting to see.
It's almost like a really strong community in Dumfries and Galloway of people looking to do the same thing. When you do something well and you can see it working, it's really encouraging to keep doing it. So when we started off, all of our fields looked like lovely mown lawns, and the more we kind of improve our grazing, the more it looks like a wildflower meadow, and you see the insects come back, and then you see the bird life and the different wildlife. At the same time, the sheep are absolutely thriving off it, and it just makes it a fantastic place to work and to live.